Canada is one of the most admired nations on Earth. It's famous for breathtaking natural beauty, a polite reputation, and a commitment to peace. But here's the truth. In today's unpredictable world, even a peaceful country needs powerful friends. The question is, when Canada faces a crisis, who will actually stand up and defend it, no matter the cost? Geopolitics is about much more than friendship or shared values. It's about money, trade, intelligence, and the kind of trust that's only proven in the hardest of times: wars, disasters, or global emergencies. Some countries buy Canadian energy, others invest billions in Canadian infrastructure, and a select few even share soldiers, intelligence, and emergency aid when it's needed most. These relationships aren't just symbolic. They shape Canada's economy, its security, and even its culture. What makes this list surprising is that not every one of Canada's closest allies is obvious. Of course, you'll recognize some historic partners, but others may shock you. Countries separated by oceans with smaller trade numbers on paper, but with bonds so strong that when Canada calls, they answer without hesitation. Today, we're counting down 6 countries that would stand with Canada at any cost. Nations whose ties go deeper than headlines, and whose support guarantees Canada's voice on the global stage. Stick with us, because this list may completely change the way you see Canada's place in the world. And before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the alliances shaping our future. At number 6, we have New Zealand, a country that proves friendship isn't about size but about shared values and trust. On paper, the trade numbers don't look huge. Together, Canada and New Zealand exchange just under $2 billion worth of goods and services every year. But the true weight of this relationship can't be measured in dollars alone. Both countries face similar challenges as resource-rich, export-driven democracies that rely on international cooperation. Instead of competing head-to-head in agriculture, they collaborate. Joint research into sustainable farming, worth hundreds of millions of dollars annually, is being exported to developing countries through combined aid programs. In other words, Canadian and Kiwi innovations are literally feeding the world. Energy is another area where the partnership shines. New Zealand is a global leader in geothermal power, and its expertise has helped Canada develop renewable energy projects worth nearly $500 million. These aren't just green investments. They're future-proof strategies that give both nations influence in the global energy transition. Then there are the people-to-people connections. Thousands of young Canadians and New Zealanders take part in exchange programs every year, working, studying, and living in each other's countries. Over 23,000 New Zealanders currently call Canada home, contributing close to $900 million to Canada's economy annually. And when it comes to peacekeeping, Canada and New Zealand share a reputation for reliability. Their combined peacekeeping budgets may not be the largest, but their quiet, steady presence on global missions carries outsized diplomatic weight. At number 5, we have Australia, a nation that Canadians often describe as their brother country from the other side of the globe. The similarities are striking: vast landscapes, resource-rich economies, and a reputation for being dependable allies. Together, Canada and Australia maintain one of the strongest bilateral partnerships in the modern world. Economically, the ties run deep. Annual trade sits at roughly $5.7 billion, but the bigger story is investment. Two-way investment between the two countries now exceeds $30 billion. Canadian pension funds are some of the largest investors in Australian infrastructure, banking, and real estate. Meanwhile, Australian firms tap into Canadian resources and expertise. The mining technology exchange alone is worth close to $900 million annually, with Canadian cold weather extraction methods helping in Australia's northern territories, and Australian hot climate techniques revolutionizing operations in Canada's harsher regions. Defense cooperation is another cornerstone. From the trenches of World War I to modern conflicts like Afghanistan, the two nations have fought shoulder to shoulder. Today, they save hundreds of millions of dollars every year by sharing defense procurement costs. This is not just about saving money. It's about building equipment and strategies designed to work seamlessly together. Cultural exchange is just as strong. The working holiday visa program remains one of the most popular in the world, with over 34,000 young people crossing between the two countries each year. The result? Economic activity worth more than $1 billion, plus lifelong friendships and networks that keep this brotherhood alive. At number 4, we have the Netherlands, a country whose bond with Canada runs deeper than most people realize. This friendship was forged in blood during the Second World War, when Canadian soldiers fought street by street to liberate Dutch towns and cities from Nazi occupation. That sacrifice has never been forgotten. To this day, Dutch children place flowers on Canadian graves, and the Dutch royal family maintains a special connection to Canada, which sheltered them during the war. But this relationship isn't just about history. It has grown into an economic powerhouse. Dutch investment in Canada now exceeds $70 billion, making the Netherlands one of Canada's largest European investors. Bilateral trade adds another $10.7 billion annually, ranging from agricultural products and flower bulbs to cutting-edge fintech innovations. The corporate ties are massive. Royal Dutch Shell's Canadian operations alone generate more than $23 billion each year, making it one of Canada's most important energy players. Philips Healthcare employs thousands of Canadians, bringing in nearly $2 billion annually through medical technology that saves lives every day. Dutch agricultural technology has transformed Canadian farming, introducing greenhouse innovations worth over $2 billion that allow fresh vegetables to grow year-round, even in Canada's harsh winters. On top of that, the ports of Rotterdam and Vancouver function as sister ports, handling tens of billions of dollars in global logistics. This means that when Canada ships its goods abroad, Dutch infrastructure often helps get them there. The Netherlands may be small in size, but its impact on Canada's past, present, and future is enormous. At number 3, we have France, a country whose ties to Canada run through history, culture, language, and billions of dollars in modern commerce. For millions of Canadians, France is more than an ally. It is part of their identity, especially in Quebec, where the province's $440 billion economy is built on the French language, law, and heritage. The economic relationship is both wide and deep. French companies have invested tens of billions of dollars into Canada, with Total Energies and BNP Paribas backing projects worth more than $45 billion. Airbus employs nearly 9,000 Canadians in Quebec, generating more than $3 billion annually and placing Canada at the heart of the global aerospace supply chain. At the same time, Bombardier's rail division supports France's high-speed train network through contracts worth almost $2 billion over 5 years. Culture and tourism also add real value. Every year, tens of thousands of French visitors travel to Canadian festivals and cities. The Montreal International Jazz Festival alone attracts over 78,000 French tourists annually, contributing nearly $90 million to Quebec's economy. That kind of cultural diplomacy cements bonds no spreadsheet can fully measure. On the defense and diplomacy side, France and Canada coordinate closely within the G7, often voting together on key global issues. Joint military equipment deals worth more than $1 billion, along with peacekeeping missions costing hundreds of millions, ensure that French and Canadian forces remain reliable partners on the ground. France and Canada are more than friends. They are family, connected by language, culture, and a shared vision for the world. At number 2, we have the United Kingdom, perhaps the most historically entwined partner Canada has. The connection goes back centuries, from the days of the British Empire to the modern Commonwealth. Shared traditions, institutions, and even sports have built a cultural familiarity that very few countries enjoy. Economically, the partnership is staggering. British investment in Canada now exceeds $129 billion, spanning everything from insurance and banking to green energy and manufacturing. Annual trade between the two countries surpasses $35 billion, with major sectors like aerospace, finance, automotive, and premium foods leading the way. When Britain left the European Union, instead of weakening ties, it actually strengthened them. The Canada-United Kingdom Trade Continuity Agreement added another $2.3 billion in new trading opportunities. On defense, this relationship is legendary. Both nations are core members of the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, meaning they share some of the most sensitive threat information in the world. British arms and aerospace deals with Canada total more than $3.5 billion annually. Add in frequent joint military exercises, and the cost savings alone reach into the hundreds of millions. The people-to-people exchange is also remarkable. Nearly 100,000 Canadian students are enrolled at British universities, pumping more than $4 billion into the British economy each year. At the same time, United Kingdom students studying in Canada contribute nearly $1 billion annually. These exchanges form lifelong networks that turn into decades of future business and diplomatic cooperation. The United Kingdom and Canada are not just allies, they are partners in shaping the rules of the global game. At number 1, we have Sweden, a country that might surprise many viewers, but the data shows just how powerful this partnership really is. Sweden and Canada may not share a border, but they share values, industries, and a northern destiny that binds them closer than most would expect. Economically, Sweden is a giant in Canada. Swedish companies employ more than 32,000 Canadians directly, while supporting nearly 90,000 additional jobs through supply chains. Household names like IKEA generate almost $4 billion in revenue each year in Canada, supporting thousands of local jobs and sourcing more than $500 million in Canadian goods. Ericsson, Sweden's telecom giant, is investing $9 billion into Canada's 5G network, cementing Canada's role as a leader in next-generation technology. In transportation and clean energy, the partnership is just as strong. Volvo and Scania provide green transit solutions for Canadian cities, while Swedish automotive innovations help reduce emissions nationwide. These programs create exportable technology worth hundreds of millions of dollars. At the same time, Swedish pension and sovereign funds have invested more than $18 billion into Canadian assets, from Alberta's wind farms to Toronto's eco-friendly skyscrapers. Globally, the two nations coordinate closely on peacekeeping and Arctic development. Together, they commit more than $400 million annually to shared missions and research. Their work in the Arctic Council alone, valued at $230 million, sets international standards for environmental and resource management. Sweden may not be the most obvious ally, but in practice it is one of Canada's most committed partners, and one that stands ready at any cost. Canada's true strength lies not just in its resources, but in allies who show up when it matters most. From Sweden's innovation to Britain's history, these partnerships secure Canada's future. Which nation surprised you the most? Let us know below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.